record before I forget this for the ones who are not on. If you can maybe just tell us a bit about you, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, so as you know, my name is Emma Clayton and I'm a proud patron of TFX. I'm a professional actress. I'm also a choreographer. I'm also a movement director. I'm also a director. I'm also a qualified ISTD, tap and modern teacher. I'm also a qualified Lambda teacher. So yeah, that's sort of it in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, definitely. Perfect in a nutshell. Brian, if you, for anyone who doesn't know you, there's not many, but you tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, hello. A few of you I definitely know I can recognise on here from popping in to do workshops and things. My name is Brian, for anyone that doesn't know. I recently became a patron of TFX, which I'm very chuffed to have been asked to do. I'm a professional actor, performer, presenter. I've got my own little theatre company in Aberdeen, which is not appropriate for any of you because it's generally adult-only plays with very colourful language. However, you will mature into those when you're a little bit older. And I'm sure you've all heard it all before.
Fab. And Ed?
Hi, yeah, a patron also, obviously. I'm an actor working in theatre, TV and film. I'm also a presenter. I work with Sky Broadcasting, the satellite people. I provide your voiceovers for the programmes that go out. And for Channel 5 as well. And then alongside that, as sort of alongside the acting, I sit as a magistrate. That's a judge here in England and across Wales. And in 2019, I stood as an MP for my constituency. And in 2020, I wrote a play, actually, that's hopefully going to go back on tour again when this pandemic finishes, about the first female magistrate here in England. And that was sort of shelved. It did one performance. No, it did three performances, and then we got shut down. So hopefully when it is all lifted, that'll go back out on tour again. So that's a little bit about me.
That's fantastic. That's a few things that I learned as well there. Did not know a few.
Yes, I'm a dark horse, me, Claire, you know.
Adding more strings to your bow.
Yeah, very well. Yeah, absolutely. And I like it because, of course, Nottingham's not too far from here. Robin Hood, string to the bow. Very good.
Oh, thanks. So we've just had Abby and Emma. They've just joined us. So we were just having a wee chat about who our patrons are today. But I'm going to start with Carla. Carla, if you are confident enough to speak, or if your mum's there, but you had a fantastic question. If you want to say it, if not, you can give a little heads up.
How do you choose what college to go to?
How do you choose? So Carla's one of our seniors, and she's just thinking the first thing, how do you choose what college to go to? Emma, let's take that.
Shall I start?
Yes, fantastic.
That's a really good question. I think the question, the answer partly to the question is, what exactly is it you want to do? Which route do you want to go down? Do you want to go down the musical theatre route, or do you want to specialise completely in acting, or do you want to specialise in dance? I suppose I'm honing in on courses that are available. So I think that would be the first thought process, and then researching colleges that have those courses available, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And just do as much research really as possible into it.
I think Emma's hit the nail on the head there. You've definitely got to be quite honest and brutal with yourself. If you know you're not the strongest singer, then auditioning for a musical theatre course is not the thing for you. You've got to really be quite frank with yourself. But then when you go to the auditions as well, you will also get a feel. You think, right, I would really like to get into this college. And then sometimes you go to others and you're just like, this just doesn't feel right for me. And that's as much of it as well.
Yeah. Anything to add, Ed?
Yeah, I think go and do as many open days as you can. Go into the building, go and walk around. You may or may not know, I'm sure you do, but I work at a college, the Midlands Academy of Dance and Drama, which is in Nottingham. And when we hold our open days, we have so many students that have a list of drama schools and musical theatre colleges that they want to go to. And there's a Q&A session at the end. And one question that always comes up or not a question, it's more of an answer really, when I ask the students or prospective students how they found the day, is they always say how valuable it was to actually go around and see the facilities and meet the staff, meet the students, because one particular school that you may love in a brochure may have a completely different feeling when you walk through the door. And it's 3 years hard training. And when I say hard, it's hard. I mean, Claire, you'll know it's long days. You're pushed and pushed and pushed. And you've got to feel that you are in a place that's supportive, that understands you, and doesn't just turn you out as one of many other actors. You need to find a school that hones in on your particular skill set, so you come out as the best person you can be, because we're all different and we all bring a different skill set to the performing arts. So you need a school which will identify what your strengths are, work on that, and then after 3 years you come out really, really strong and be able to hold your own within an audition setting.
Yeah, definitely. I think one with the colleges there, I'm just thinking, Ed, back in when you taught us, with MAD being you take not as many students on. I remember you did a class with us and it was on voiceovers, and one was for Bombay Sapphire for the gin and one was for Cocoa Pops. And it was like, Claire, there's no point in going for Bombay Sapphire for a 16-year-old voice. You're never going to get it unless I really change. But it was homing in your skills. So yeah, that's really good points, just to kind of say, go to a school that suits you and not just one of many. That great question, Carla. So Emma Parks and Mum Lindsay, do you want to ask your question? Because it was really good for this kind of time that we're in at the moment.
Do you think there will be as many opportunities in performing arts as there was before COVID, or will it be even harder industries to get into?
Okay, I'm gonna just, Emma, because it just broke up there, I'm gonna say what your question was. So it was, do you think there will be as many opportunities in performing arts as there was before COVID, or will it be an even harder industry to get into? If I go, Brian first.
Well, I guess it's $1 million question that no one truly knows the answer to. I mean, I think the arts have really suffered and there will be long-term consequences. But if there's anything I do know is that people are determined, especially from a artist point of view, but as well as production, to the minute they can get back on it at full force. So we can only be hopeful and pray that those opportunities do keep coming, I guess.
Yeah, and Ed, do you think for people applying to colleges now, that is kind of maybe part of a question as well, is they're going to struggle because people like yourselves taking them in are really looking for ones who are really wanting to do this as a career, not just maybe drop it after a year? Yeah,
I think that the performing arts is going to come back different, but stronger, but different. And what I mean by that is that we've got a theatre not too far from us in Leicester called The Curve. And they have found these amazing, ingenious ways to keep live performance going, but also stream it to people's houses as well. So they're doing The Colour Purple next, that's coming out, the musical. And what would have historically been just a show, you go and take your seat in the theatre, go and watch it, has now turned out to be, it's multi-dimensional. They're filming it, they're streaming it, the actors are acting it as if there's people in the theatre, so they're bringing more creatives in to what would have been just a theatrical performance. So I think if we not be too scared of what the landscape's going to look like, embrace it and go with it, I think we're going to find something quite exciting at the end of all this.
Yeah, fab. And anything to add, Emma?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Brian and Ed, obviously, of course, but it is a multi-million-dollar question. But what we are seeing is it's creative. Everybody from creatives to performers are finding other ways to create work and still keep the performing arts alive. Because I think that if you really love what you do, which we all do, where there's a will, there's a way. And though I couldn't sit here and say, oh my God, yeah, it'll all be open by June, darlings, don't worry. I think that personally as a creative, we're finding different ways of working. I'm currently working on a new children's show and we're workshopping it via Zoom and stuff. We might turn it into a puppet show, but we're finding other ways of putting shows on and actually being able to reach out to further people more than we would if we were actually in the theatre. By being able to have this medium, we are being able to reach out to people that couldn't afford to go to the theatre in the first place. So that is a positive that's coming out from here. People are seeing things that are streamed on, from the Curve in Leicester or from the National Theatre. Theatre is actually reaching out to more people than possibly ever before. Another example is Prom the Musical was on Netflix, or it's still on Netflix. I don't know if anybody's seen it.
Yeah.
And that is actually a musical that is coming, hopefully, it was on Broadway until it stopped, but is hopefully coming here. So students that I've worked with that we're studying Prom the Musical is that they said it's actually reached out to them to something they wouldn't have been able to see because at that present time it was on Broadway, but by making a musical film of it, it's helped expand their knowledge. So I suppose they're my positives to add, really.
Yeah, definitely. Great, fantastic. Is there anyone that's come up with any questions now we've had a couple of things that you're like, I'd like to jump in there? Yeah, go for it, Caitlin.
Give me that. It's my question. Well, it's kind of my question, really. So from a kind of, partly from a teacher's point of view, but from a parent point of view, a wee bit of advice on choosing the right audition songs, etc. So I get lots of students at TFX wanting to go away and sometimes not always coming with appropriate material, and I try and guide them, but not everywhere is looking for the same thing. So what are you looking for, or what advice would you give us in choosing pieces?
Fantastic. If we can go straight to Emma maybe for that one.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think is finding, let's sort of say it's a monologue, it is something that maybe is in the right age group. I would at this stage, and this is only my personal opinion, I would personally prefer somebody to do something in their own accent. I really celebrate at this stage hearing everybody's native dialect, because that is who you are. I would keep it short. I would always leave an audience wanting more, or a panel wanting more. I would try and find something monologue-wise from a published play, and have read the play, and know where that monologue comes within that play. Be very aware of the character that you're playing in that monologue. And then in terms of the song, same thing, something that shows your vocal range, where you are now. And I think a key thing just to say here is that nobody's asking you at that audition to be perfect, because then there'd be no point of you going into training. All they ask is that they see potential and something that they could, sorry, that sounds so patronizing, forgive me, but someone who has potential and over 3 years of training will then get to the level of being able to be professional and being able to work in whatever field it is that they want. So perfection is, I'm certainly not perfect, never have been, never will be. That's not what they're looking for at the audition. So keep everything, I would say, keep everything short. If you're choosing a song, just let it show off what your vocal range is currently. Even just a verse and a chorus might be enough, depending on what college you're, auditioning for. Yeah, I don't know if that is any help. I'm sure Brian or Ed could.
Yeah, that's great. Anything to add?
I mean, I think Emma's hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think when it's a song as well, by all means, show off your best bit. But I do think you need to stick to something that is generally in your age group, and also which demonstrates probably your strongest vocal technique. But then again, I think what Emma said regards to monologues, it's the same with songs. So many times you see people come in, they're beautifully singing a song, and you can just tell they've got no actual idea where the song fits in or what the true message of it is. So it's important to know who it is, where they are, where they've just come from, why the song is there, because the song, as beautiful as it may sound, the story behind it is far stronger than just the voice. And I think sometimes you can have less of our ability of singing, but have a more powerful performance because you understand the message that the song is trying to deliver.
That's so weird, Brian, in the sense that yesterday I had the same, I've had a workshop. I also teach at Mad College, and it was a singing workshop yesterday afternoon with our third years who are about to graduate in 5 months. And all afternoon it's story, 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 story. Yeah, that's really important, because that's what we're training to be at the end of the day, or you're training to be, whether that's through whichever form, dance, acting and singing, is we're training to be storytellers through different forms. So story is absolutely, yeah, paramount. Sorry, interjecting.
No,
that's lovely. Ed, anything?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's already been mentioned, but I think that the key thing is when I teach the foundation course at MAD, and the foundation students are on a 1-year intensive because they want to go and study on a 3-year course, but their skill set might not be at the level it needs to be at. So they have a year to work on technique. And the one thing I drive home to them every time is that you've got to pick something that you can understand. And so many students come into an audition, because I do sit on the audition panel at MAD, and students come in and they'll do this massive song. It'll be an Idina Menzel thing, and they'll be trying to hit these notes, and then comes the Q&A at the end, and I'll say, so why did you pick that song? And say, oh, it's my favorite, I love it. And then we might be sitting there thinking, well, do you know what, that song was too big. That song was too big for you. So what my golden piece of advice would be to anybody wanting to do audition and at least try and be successful at getting through an audition is pick something that's not too far from your age range. Don't play a 50-year-old when you're 16 because it won't work. Pick a story which you can understand. So if you haven't been divorced and you haven't had 3 kids, don't do it. Don't touch it, because as hard as you're acting, you won't be able to understand the impetus behind it, and that comes with time. And don't copy stuff from YouTube. I know that so many people think, oh, I'll just see how I should be doing this, and they'll type in the monologue or the song, and they'll try and copy like somebody else. Don't do it. You are you. Sing a song how you would sing it. And remember that a song is just a monologue set to music. That's all it is. It's no different. Take the music out and understand what that story is. So, if you were an ex-boyfriend of Adele, she's going to write a song about you. So take the music out and read the lyrics, understand the story, and just deliver. And remember, the main thing is when you go into an audition is you're saying to that drama school, that musical theatre school, this is who I am if I was to come and study with you. So you also want to try and get across your personality as well. And we want somebody that is open to change. And sometimes in an audition, we may say, we love what you're doing, but try it like this. That's not to say that you're doing it wrong. That's to see if you can do it a different way, and that you haven't been drilled into doing it just this one way. And some students freeze and they go, I don't know how to do it. Well, just relax. Remember that those 5-6 minutes, that's your time to show that audition panel, if I was accepted, this is what I'd be like if I was on your course. And we would take a student as the main proviso that after 3 years of training, we can see you working. That's what it comes down to. After 3 years with us, can we see you forging out a career? And different schools offer different training. And that's why it's important to go and have a look around. So that's ultimately what we do. After 3 years of our style of training, can we see you working? Can we make that investment that you've made work for you? So that would be my advice.
Perfect. Great. I mean, really, really great advice all there. So I hope that helped. Anyone got any questions, or I will go back to my list if anything's popped up in the meantime. No, we're all good. We're all sitting there. Okay, so this is one. So Lucia is one of our students, and she's not been able to make it on today because she's got higher drama. But she is wanting to apply to the Royal Conservatoire BA acting course. Now they accept, I think it's 27 students out of 1,000 and odd applicants, if not more. And she's just kind of saying what is top tips to get her to the top of the pile. So she's not on here today, but it was just, I said I would ask her a question. So they've got to do monologues, submit them online at the moment. So anything to help her to give a little tip?
So I presume it's all self-tapes, yeah?
Yeah.
She's got to do, yeah. I think really it's just a similar, it's a similar thought process, if not the same for, I think, obviously I don't want to speak for Brian and Ed, but I would think it's the same process and the thought process that we've just sort of said about, you know, auditions in general. I think it's hard when you're doing self-tapes, but I think if you look like you've taken the time to do the best self-tape you can, that shows that you really care and that you really want to do this, and that you're really determined, not get it right, but you didn't just, I'm going to say the word willy-nilly. That's a very old-fashioned saying around here. You didn't just slap it all together and go, oh, I'll just chuck it over the, you know, send it down via whatever, Connect or whatever, or Dropbox or something like that. That with your self-tapes, that you really took the time to do them. And you even took the thought process, which is that you've got a blank background. What you're wearing isn't patterned, because that distracts from your focus of what you're seeing when you watch the self-tapes. Yeah, I just think it's taking time, taking care, and I would presume that they'd want an introduction. I think that's what happens, you know, for MAD applicants, is an introduction on who you are, just saying hi, because it does give you like an idea of, you know, personality and what sort of person you are. Because I always, you know, live by the thing that the greatest gift is you. That's what's going to get you through the door, is you. So I think he's making sure that you've done it as best you can in terms of presenting everything. And even the top tip by wearing plain colours, no busyness, nothing in the background like my Vincent van Gogh right now. Sorry about that. I should have taken it down. I'm being extremely unprofessional, but I didn't buy it, by the way. I could sell it, actually, probably need the money at the moment. I might try eBay this afternoon. But is, yeah, I've failed already at my audition. So it's those tiny things that if that particular student knows that in advance, that shows that you've done your research into self-tapes. It's like, and that is the business of the show of the business of the show, that you're taking the time to take interest on how the business is right now. If I saw that and people had a blank background and they had a plain top on and it's not Lizzie busy Lizzie, and the pure focus was on that person, lots of care taken in the taping, it was filmed maybe horizontal, not vertical, I'd think, wow, they really care about this. They've really done research in sending in a professional self-tape. For me, even without the monologue and the song, I'll be like, you're in, just because of the professionalism. Because that is rare in this day and age, that we going above and beyond the call of duty is not flogging yourself like for 200% 7 days a week. It's investing time and passion and taking care of you as a product. I think that's important, particularly now, because that's the only way currently we can communicate is through this, well, Zoom's like a year on. I didn't even know what Zoom was a year ago. Now it's like, yeah, Zoom, baby.
No, that's a fantastic answer, because it is, I think that's her feeling and a lot of other feelings. We've had to help a lot of self-tapes and it's that kind of thing. But yeah, plain colours, plain backgrounds, it's just really good top tips and just taking care of your video, your thing.
There's loads online now, like tutorials and stuff. I know that the Equity website has got a self-taping like guide that gives people a real insight into like what is kind of expected of a self-tape, like with a clear background. And I think people sometimes forget about, I know I was guilty of it in the beginning, is listening back to the quality of the sound, making sure that the room you're in isn't like echoing beyond belief or that you can't be heard. And I think going back to a point Emma made earlier, a really good thing I think with a lot of drama schools now, especially with your monologues, is definitely using one in your own tongue. Because I mean, when I auditioned for East 15 years ago, that was one thing they loved. They were like, we love that you're using your real Scottish accent, because so much of it then ended up being Shakespeare and everything else in RP. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely choose something that showcases your own accent.
Great. And anything to add, Ed? I think we've...
I think a lot of it's been said. I think the most important thing, as I say, my foundations are in their audition season now, so they've sent off their applications. One of them's auditioning for the 3-year course at RADA. And in their application, it's very, very clear what they're asking for. There's no hidden details. It absolutely states how they want it filmed, how they want the background, what they want delivered. So just read the small print, because it's all there. And you can sort of trip up at the first hurdle by not doing that, because if you get it wrong, they say, well, it's all written there. How can you get it wrong? It's the details are all there. Can I just say one thing about university courses is do your due diligence. Read carefully what you're getting on those university courses. Nicholas Heitner, who was he ran the National Theatre a few years ago, he did a wonderful interview in the Stage newspaper. And he was asked, can he tell the difference between an actor who studied at university and an actor who studied on a vocational course? And his answer to that was, yes, he can. And he was said, well, he was asked, what's the difference? And he said, well, when I ask somebody who studied at university about the piece, they will tell me everything about the writer, the period of time it was written, what was happening in that writer's life at that particular time that made that particular writer write that piece. Somebody who studied on a vocational course, when they're asked the same question, they will be able to tell the casting director or Nicholas Heitner everything about the character and why the character's the way that they are and why they've made those acting choices. So do be careful, make sure you're getting lots of one-to-one contact. I'm a big believer in getting up off your chair and doing it. This is my own personal view. I think that in this industry, you would struggle, or I would see students struggle if I said, right, we're going to be talking about an acting technique. I want you to go off now and write me an essay about it and submit me 5,000 words as to why you think it would work. That's no good. I need to see you put it in practice, that you understand the reason why you're making certain acting choices. So yes, universities have their place, but so do vocational courses. And I think if you're acting or you're doing musical theatre, you really want to be getting up and doing it. And seeing what works and what doesn't for you, not writing reams and reams of stuff and me sending you back a mark saying, B-. But that's my own personal view. Yeah,
no, it's great to hear kind of both of the sides for everyone that's thinking about going off. So I've had a question in from Amy, who is saying, could we ask about what happens after we go to performing arts school? So what happens after you've done all your training and you're left to go out to the big bad world?
No, she can't answer that question. Next question.
It is one of those things that you go, what does happen? Like, do you just go, where do I actually had another email from Keely, who couldn't make it on today, and just that kind of feeling too. It's that I know it's in a year's time and you have to get into the college first, you have to do your training, you have to get through it all. But then what does happen? Like, just agents and newspapers back in, Spotlight and all.
Stage, CP, yeah.
Love the stage at WH Smith. I think they're just wanting to know kind of what happens, because they've not been around there. So what happens afterwards?
Well, I think when you first finish, it is quite scary because you've been in this sort of tight bubble for 3 years, and then your course finishes and you're just suddenly like, well, it usually is finishing just before you come into the summer holidays as well. So you usually do your graduate showcase. Well, I'm speaking from a few years ago. I know things have all been juggled around recently, but you'd usually do your graduate showcase, and then maybe your last, or then maybe come to the showcase, and you might be lucky and secure an agent. That's great. I was fortunate and I did. But then if you don't, it's not in any way the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? There's so much different ways you can find another agent. In this sort of climate we're in now, you don't necessarily need one. There's so many different ways you can apply for jobs through, even Twitter, Instagram, all that is like, I am so old school, I'm barely just getting grips, but you are a whole different generation of technology. And there's just so much stuff where castings go out and they're wanting people there and then. And it doesn't necessarily matter if you've got an agent. If you see that you fit the brief and you could do the part, send your tape in or apply. Those opportunities can happen. But when you first finish, it is slightly scary. There'll be auditions and stuff you can go for, that's great. Maybe open calls, those sort of things. But then you've got to be prepared. You might not have a job for a while, and you might then move out of your student flat and now have to move somewhere else. You got to just get a job and just support yourself and get by. You might be lucky to go straight into a job, which I was fortunate I did. But then when that job finished, I didn't work for 3 months. So I was auditioning whilst working in a pub or a restaurant or those sort of things. But you just got to keep reading, keep believing, looking after yourself, keep practicing, whether it be audition pieces, songs, whatever, keep dancing. That's it. And then, yeah.
And that's it. Hope you get a job. Yeah.
Hoping you get jobs.
Anything to add on that once you've...
I think the most important thing is that you're going to become, you are an entrepreneur, you're a self-employed business. Yeah. And you've got, it's a very fast lesson to learn. And I always say to my third years, if you've got a parent who's self-employed, have a chat to them to find out how hard it is, because you're your own marketing machine, you're your own PR machine. There's no big department you can go to and say, put this advert out, you do it all yourself. My goodness, you learn so quick about business and how it works. Yeah, that's what it is. You're a self-employed business entrepreneur, and what you put in is what you get out. And one thing I say to my third years is, if your phone's not ringing and you're not getting or booking the auditions, it's because nobody knows you're there. So the only reason your phone's going to ring is by constant marketing and constant talking to the right people.
Yeah, I remember that third year chat, and you gave us the example of like Tesco Value baked beans, not an awful lot of effort, and then there's like Heinz baked beans, great colour, great marketing, and it's always about. And it was just saying that you are a product, you are self-employed, you leave here and you put in as much as you'll get as much as you put out, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I was like, Mum, I'm Heinz baked beans, that's it.
Yeah. Because you're trained and you're untrained, and you see your Tesco Value doesn't have the same contents as the proper brand, and that's what training gives you. Because as soon as you go to an audition, you give them that CV, your branding is where you've trained, because that'll speak volumes straight away. If you've done if you haven't been to an accredited 3-year course, then are you really taking it seriously? Yes, like anything, you've got to put the effort in. And I think so many students, when they are doing their 3 years, they think, oh, it's all right, it's all going to fall into place because it's me, and the world is waiting for me to graduate. No, I'm just going to jump. No one's waiting for you. Nobody's waiting for you. And a good drama school will tell you the pros and the cons. They won't keep selling all the benefits and the pluses of training with them. They'll also tell you that, unless you put in the groundwork, you're not going to get much out of it after. So it's hard work. It really is hard work.
Yeah, anything to add, Emma?
I think to add would be, this goes down to the choice of where you end up going training wise. What I think is really important, your career starts, now, a lot of creators would say this, that your career starts the day that you joined the college or the course, whichever one it is you go down. And for example, at Mad College is like every week in the third year, there is a different, I call them gatekeepers. Who are the gatekeepers to the industry? And this is linking to people graduating. So I would say that 90%, I'm just using Mad College as an example, and this is something that you need to take into account to which college you go to as well, is 90% of the people on the faculty at MAD are gatekeepers. What I mean by that is they're all industry professionals as well as some qualified teachers. And so I get the students in the third year say, look who you've had as a guest tutor, look who has actually trained you. Do they still work in the business? Can they open the doors for you? That's what I'm currently doing with the third years right now. So like we've got Gary Lloyd coming in, we've had Andrew Wright in, we've had 5 different agents in, we've had Debbie Issett in. The third years are auditioning for a new movie called Prom Fever currently. I'm really actually jealous. I nearly actually emailed the casting director myself and said, would you consider me as an older part? Obviously not as a student. So we've had Debbie Issett, and she is the producer, and she's the director of all the nativity movies. And she's also the director of the actual nativity stage show. She's written a play, I should say, The Woman Who Cooked Her Husband, which I think was one of the first plays, ironically, that I got when I went to college. So people like Debbie Issett and Andrew Wright and your Gary Lloyds, David Wood OBE, who is literally the god in children's theatre. They've all had workshops with these people and with the 90% of the faculty at the college. So they're all their gatekeepers that they make a list of that they could help them get jobs. Several of the faculty are directors. They work for Kudos. Sorry, Claire, you know, because you're Imagine. But yeah, for Kudos Pantos, our head of music, he's a musical supervisor, musical director for several of the Kudos Pantos. We've had people in like Alan Harding that choreographs. I don't know if we want to go into Panto in England. He choreographs sort of 4 of those. Yeah, so that helps to where you go after college. I'm sorry, this is long-winded. Who your connections are, because it is who you know, not what you know, to some extent. So look at your college faculty, look at the guests they're getting in. Say, for example, we had a massive casting director in the other week, Stuart Burt. You know, I want to work for Stuart Burt as an actress because like he cast Jamie Lloyd shows, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's a double whammy, helping the students and myself at the same time. But I get inspired by other people that we're bringing in and stuff and things like that, even now as a continuing, you know, as a continuing actress. So that's really important. You know, I don't advocate being on social media the whole time, but it's just good for information to know what's going on in the industry. So who is the faculty at the colleges? Who are the guest tutors that they've got coming in? Because it's those guest tutors and the faculty that are going to help after the 3 years of training. And they're also going to be able to write, say, because that gets added to your CV for Spotlight, who you've worked with. So that's really important, because we do ask each other, oh, you work with so-and-so, what was that person like? I hope that's sort of added. So your course you choose is really important. Who is guiding you for that 3 years or the 2 years or the 1 year? That's something else to take into account.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic advice. Charlotte Alexander's saying, any tips for standing out in a crowd in an audition?
Yes.
Good.
Don't do a oh God. Don't come in with a really depressing monologue. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. They come in, they go, right, what's your piece about? It's about Brenda. She's got 3 months left, and this is her last speech. And what you don't realise, we've seen 40 other people who've just come in doing the same type of monologue, because, and some people are looking at each other, because I think some of you might have a monologue. You think, oh, I think mine's a bit dark. Come in with something fun and bright and breezy, and you know how good life is and how good things are going in your character's life. People just don't choose those. The default one is death and despair and 3 months left to live. And no, please come in with something uplifting. And stay away from monologue books, because everybody goes to these monologue books. They go on Amazon and they pick this thing, you know, the top 10 audition monologues. Well, pick something fresh. And the reason why good drama schools will always ask for the auditionee to pick something from a published play is because if there isn't a big speech in it, you can always cut and paste from a published play so it sounds like a big speech, so it's fresh. But stay away from monologue books, stay away from life-limiting characters, and you're on a good track.
I think that also goes for the songs as well, doesn't it? It's like the normal default now is the same sort of Ds, you know, desperate, despair, and death. Sorry, that sounds extremely dramatic, but I would say leave the panel laughing, not at you, but with you. Find something that is upbeat. Making somebody laugh in an audition, that will definitely get you noticed, because so few people, even in professional auditions, I'll always, if I can, go in with something that is upbeat, because I know everybody before me has been in, you know, there's been a murder, and you can tell by the panel's energy, there's like, oh God, I need a coffee, I need lunch now. So I always try to find something that is on the opposite direction, but still fitting what the brief is. So, you know, you don't have to be like a comedy genius. Is like, you know, comedy is truth. That's all it is. So make somebody laugh, put a smile on somebody's face, because I think particularly in I'm not sure what lockdown we're in now, but it's when you brighten somebody's day, you really remember that, and that just like energy. Be yourself. Don't wear jewelry to auditions. Don't wear long nails that, you know, nail salons that I think they're closed currently. But yeah, otherwise in the audition on self-tape or in person, it becomes about the nails. And also that's health and safety. That just shows if you're completely bland there. I call it Ming Mong Ming. So no earrings, no necklace, and no bracelets. Don't talk to other people and get distracted by other people if you're in person at an audition. People really pick that up. You're there to get the job and to get into that college, because so being completely focused. Some people might try to distract you, but don't. I'm sure you wouldn't anyway, because you're all at TFX, so and extremely professional already. So yeah. And just be yourself, and actually have fun, and the last word I leave you with is entertain your audience. It's a moment for you to shine, so just go for it, have fun. Yeah.
Great.
Not so much for drama school, but definitely when you're working professional, I would definitely recommend not just having one piece. I know a few times personally when I went to singing auditions, you go in, you're like, right, I'm going to smash whatever song it is. You're working it in. The guy before you is just done the exact same song, and you're like, oh no, oh no, oh no. So definitely always have something else. And then often sometimes you go in, you sing it, they've heard the song 10 times already, and they'll say, do you have anything else? So make sure you've got a decent rep that you can rely on. The same with speeches. Don't just have one.
Just as a sort of a bit of a gloss on as well, when you're delivering your pieces, always pick a spot behind the audition panel's heads. Don't ever eyeball the panel. I'll just tell you a very, very quick little story. I sit next to the principal of the college when we do auditions, and it's a long day, and she does like a coffee, so she has a coffee on the desk, and we have bottles of water and what have you. And we had this one lad who came in, and he was loving his monologue. He was involved with it. I mean, he was there, and bit by bit, he was coming forward closer and closer to the desk, because we're at one end of the room, and he was eyeballing each of us. So he's getting closer and closer and closer. I thought, oh, yeah, something's going to happen here. Anyway, so he's coming closer and closer, and he's come to the end of his monologue, and he was going to make sure that we were going to remember his speech. So it got louder and louder, closer and closer. He got his fists and he slammed them down on the table. The coffee went everywhere. Water spilt all over people's application forms. It was a very swift, thank you very much, we'll be in touch.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah. So yeah, don't get carried away. Don't try and be over memorable to the panel, and don't eyeball.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, I love a good story like that. Okay, I had a question. So we've got many different students at TFX, all different ages, and we've had a few parents message in and just say how well equipped is the industry in dealing with performers who are maybe not your typical straightforward performer. So if they have got, like I discussed this with you earlier, Brian, about a hearing aid or things like that. So anything that if they're going and they've just got struggles. So if it is, we've got a few students, and when they get scripts, they struggle with it and they're dyslexic, which is not a problem. They can have the time, but they're worried if they go to an audition and they get something that's really fast, how do they maybe put that across and say, can I have more time? Can they do that kind of thing?
On the disability thing, so obviously I'm deaf. I've been deaf since I was born, but was in denial with it for a long, long time. I had hearing aids when I was 4 and just refused to wear them. Spent the first sort of 15 years in the industry just denying to myself and to anyone who would bring it up that I was actually deaf. And then I started wearing hearing aids from the start of last year full time. Now I seriously regret that I haven't worn them for a long time, but there's so much support out there. And I mean, it's still evolving for not just deaf, for all different disabilities. I know that if you go on to Grey Eye, which is www.greyeye, which is spelled GRAEAE.org, the head of that is Jenny. She's deaf herself. Grey Eye work with disability actors, whether it be hearing, people in wheelchairs, whatever it is. Like this, the scope is so huge. There's another one called DANK, which I can send you the details for. They're a group of collective disabled actors and creatives who have come together and are just really trying to push forward that it needs to be accepted in the mainstream, and also that these people don't just have to play, I wear a hearing aid, so I should play deaf. There's no reason why I can't be a policeman in EastEnders, that it doesn't have to be even acknowledged that I wear a hearing aid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just trying to evolve. And it's the same, I think, when you've got issues like, if you struggle to read and a casting director gives you something, then you just have to say, I'm autistic and dyslexic, sorry. I need a little bit more time.
Yeah.
And it's definitely far more accepted than it ever was before. And it's continued to evolve, and barriers are getting broken down all the time. So we can just be hopeful that we can move forward and everybody can be accepted, because we all are individuals and we will represent ourselves.
Yeah, I think
all of us exist in the universe, so we should be represented in all platforms.
Yeah, I think with the parents emailing in that have not been able to join the call, they were saying actually they're seeing a lot more now on the TV, and their children are saying, well, okay, well that's a bit of me, that's there. They're seeing themselves in the characters on TV now. So yeah, it was just kind of saying, when I go to college as well, is it going to be as accepted? Has it evolved through? And then it has. So that's brilliant.
I mean, there will always be prejudices and challenges that are faced, but it definitely is becoming far more accepted than it probably was when I went to drama school, I'm sure. I mean, I didn't think I ever saw anyone deaf in anything for a long time. I think that's why I just thought, if I'm deaf, I won't get any work.
Yeah.
So that's why I just used to deny it. But now I can't believe what I can actually hear. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Is there anything that's popped up now, because we're kind of getting to the end of our call? If there's anything that you're going, oh, I'm dying to ask that question, or that's not been asked yet, then now is your time. Free reign, go for it.
And don't be shy. No question is stupid or off limits. Do you know what I mean? If there's something you think, oh, I want to ask that, but I'm scared, or just say it. We're not going to eat you.
No, I'm going to ask a question on Eleanor's behalf, because Eleanor is going to MGA in September, and she is asking about her teaching qualifications. Is right, Eleanor? So it's to do it, you need. They're asking for more qualifications, and it's through, which one are they asking for?
It's the ISTD Modern Dance qualification.
Okay, yes. So that, I was going to direct that to you, Emma, because we don't do that up in Inverness. There's no one that does the qualifications up here. But for Eleanor to do the teaching qualification with them, she needs to take her intermediate in modern.
Yeah.
So is there anything you could advise? Is there at the moment like online classes that she could do? Can she work through a different school? or how long would it maybe take her to do her intermediate for then her to progress to her teaching?
My quick question, first of all, so have you studied the ISTD syllabus, modern syllabus already? Have you gone through the grades?
No, not yet.
So at this stage, this will just help me be able to guide you. You've not done any ISTD modern work?
No.
Okay. I can look it up for you because at the ISTD headquarters, I can send the link to you, Claire, that could you send them to, onto Eleanor, is funnily enough, I think they're doing courses online, and sometimes they do summer courses. I'll check my newsletter that I had on Thursday, and I can do some research this afternoon, and I can send that through for you. Because I'm not sure it's completely as simple as just going straight in and taking the intermediate syllabus and then going on to the teaching. I think you might have to have done one level before that, but I'll look into it and get back to you.
Perfect. That's what I thought. When the question came in, I thought, I can't think you could just jump into that. But yeah, if you can look into that, that'd be great.
One question I could also ask, have you done any syllabus work in terms of modern before in another society?
No, I've not done modern before.
Have you done any syllabus work in any other genres?
I've done RAD ballet.
And what level did you get up to with RAD ballet?
I got up to intermediate with that, and I'm doing my advanced right now. Okay.
And so basically, and congratulations, by the way, for getting into college. That's wonderful. It's not that. So basically they're saying, MGA, that you won't be able to attend the course at all unless you've got certain XY ISTD in place, or if you want to do the teacher training course.
It's the
I think it's an extra. It's additional to the course that she'll be doing. It's an optional, and I think they said that to register for the teacher training, they would have to have their intermediate before they could register them. So I think she's just wanting to have as many strings to her bow as possible. But I don't know whether they had suggested that actually she could go to a dance school, is it Morningside, a dance academy, that they offered that. So I don't know, because they'd said sort of it might take 18 months to 2 years to do the whole teaching course. So I don't know whether there will be then options for her to, progress through that when she's there. And she's obviously going to be there for 3 years, but it was just, could she get started? I mean, we obviously know from the ballet, the vocational exams have taken a long time, so how many hours they've had to study. So just to jump in, might be quite difficult. But anyway.
Yeah. And is the course at MGA, is that a 3-year course or is it 2?
3 years.
Yeah, I mean, that is, also a good thought process, that because there's no rush to be a teacher, really, is there, in the sense that you've got those 3 years of training. And I mean, obviously I will look into it for you and some things like that, but maybe that could be the way that you're, going to the Morningside Dance Academy at the same time. But I would think, let me have a look in and I'll go back to Claire. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Anything else before we wrap it up? Are you sure? I know you're all going to go off this and go, I was dying to ask that. A little sneaky, I really just want to know this in the industry. You're all good. Abby, Harriet, Amy, just sitting happy. Have we covered everything then for you today? Yeah, we're all nodding. Wonderful. Good. Well, if there's anything left that you've got to say, any words of wisdom for them all, kind of thinking about going off and doing this, some very, very soon, some in the next few years. It's obviously very different at the moment applying. But yeah, if there's any words of wisdom for our lovely students. Ed?
I would say, if you want to do this, do it, because we need you. Because on the positive side is I think a lot of people in several different generations will leave the industry, and so we need you. Please please come and train wherever it is you're going to go. So don't give up. If this is what you've always wanted to do, where there's a will, there's a way. So yeah, keep doing. Don't be defeated by lockdown 75. We're going to keep going. We're still doing it. We're all working in different genres and still creating new magic, just in completely different ways. It's actually quite exciting. So keep on living your dream, and don't let what's happening now, today, don't let that affect what you want to do. That's all I would say.
Good words. Brian?
Just keep motivated, keep fit, keep in shape. If you dance, keep stretching, put on the music and just dance around your living room. If you sing, keep singing. Use the time that you might have to just read different plays, find things that are more obscure. You never know, you might find an absolute genius piece that you could use. Just swamp yourself and enjoy the time.
Yeah, and Ed, do you want to finish us off?
I think just to say, just remain positive. Don't worry about tomorrow. There's a saying, isn't there? Don't worry about tomorrow, because that'll take care of itself. Doesn't need you to worry about it. And if you think about it, isn't it time we're time for, it's due for a change. It was so boring. So whatever's in front of us, it's going to be exciting. Let's embrace it. Let's run with it, and let's see what's out there. Because I don't know about you, I'm ready for a change, and it's changing out there for the better. So stick with it, stay positive, and yeah, who knows? Hopefully, at some point we will bump into each other. It's a shame, because usually Emma and I come up every year, and we're in the classroom with you. We do workshops and stuff, but you know,
we actually got a pop-up today to say that both of you were here. I think it was the same weekend 2 years ago. The poster popped up, and I went, "How that is very strange." How lovely at the same time. Going, gosh, yeah, we always have you up, Brian up every year, and the two of you. So one day we will be able to get that back again, and it'll be nice for you to actually meet them in person if they haven't before.
Yeah, they're in the right place, I have to say, because the training that you do give, and we do go to so many different places to take different classes. All the colleges doing open days, and we get sent out to them. And I think you're one of the very few schools that actually is teaching the students exactly how it is and the right work ethic. I think some schools are just set up. They go through the 3 hours of acting, singing, and dance, and the kids can go home. TFX is so much more different than that. You're training them the right way with the right mindset. And doing things like this, which other schools just don't do. So they're in the right place.
And also, doing it on Zoom as well. Sorry, Brian. You know, the fact that you've got classes up and running from the beginning of Jan, do you know what I mean? You're not letting anybody, you know, miss out on still wanting to live their dream and stuff. I think it's incredible. And also what is good for being on Zoom, even though we prefer to be in person, absolutely. But our performing arts students at Mad College and every accredited college around the UK were all teaching online. Luckily, it's half term next week, so I can have a bit of a breather, because you tend to work harder when you're online, because you're trying to inspire everybody and stuff. So I'm looking forward to a week off. But yeah, so everything's online. Auditions, this is something to think about as well. Actually, the industry is changing. And hearing it from, you know, top sort of casting directors is that once this is over, so to speak, they're talking about the first 4 rounds. I'm talking about theatre auditions is going to be on Zoom, or the first will be self-tape. And then the second will be Zoom, and then Zoom. And until you get to round 5, that's when they might bring into person. So that also saves money for the producers. It also saves money for you guys for travel and stuff and things like that. So they're already reorganizing how the industry works in general. So embrace Zoom, because you'll just be so confident when you're being interviewed, you know, by all these directors and choreographers. You'll just be a dab hand. That's why I'm so lucky that I feel I can be able to still teach, because you're finding a confidence with a new medium. So it's absolutely fabulous that TFX has not stopped, and they are continuing. I really advocate Zoom very much so, and being able to give you, being able to express yourselves. Yeah, so, but yeah, thank you.
You've taken to it absolutely incredibly. I mean, it is tricky, and you're right, it is for a teacher like Ali's. I've got my singing, I'm looking down there, Ali, because you're down there on my screen. but we say it's exhausting because I feel like a children's presenter all the time because you feel like you've got to reach them through that camera. But as much energy as we're giving to you, you're giving it straight back, and we do come off going, these students are doing fantastic, and if you want to keep doing this in a career, I mean, you're going the right way about it, even just signing on today. So yeah, next week is a well-earned rest, but then straight back onto the Zoom.
Claire, I just wanted to say a huge well done to TFX, because I know out with just like these sort of seminars and things you're doing, like the platform you're creating, whether it be the cooking or the feeling good, or if you need to reach out and chat, it's just a great facility that you've put together. And there's so many schools that just none of that exists. So I mean, it's really hats off to you guys at TFX. Well done.
Oh, well, thank you very much. But I enjoyed that. I loved my Saturday afternoon with you all. It was lovely catching up. And really, like myself, feeling really inspired by you all and giving it a wee boost. So I hope I'm seeing a lot of smiley faces, so that's good. I hope it's really inspired you as well. And I will leave you all to have a nice Saturday afternoon. So thank you. And
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're very welcome. Fantastic.